Welcome to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where today's top influencers and entrepreneurs on the rise share empowering stories and ninja tips to become the fuel that ignites a positive change in your life. Our guests don't simply coast through life. They don't let difficult situations stop them. They set big goals, keep their eyes on the prize, and they're joining us today to share insider secrets you can use right now to step into your power and live your purpose. Now, here's your host, Christy Ruffino.
Hey, Christy Ruffino here, and I am looking forward to you tuning into today's episode. I have Joyce Wietrecki with me today, and before we kind of introduce you to her, I want you to hear her official bio and see how amazing this woman is. So Joyce Wietrecki is one of the co-authors in our Overcoming Mediocrity, Unstoppable Woman book. She is a strategic talent management professional in organizational leadership, specializing in leadership development, team building, and change management. Her expertise has been in high demand from blue chip companies like Walgreens, AbbVie, Reynolds Consumer Products, and Kraft Heinz Company. She is the president of her own venture, Corporate Training Group, Inc., which combines her expertise in talent management and executive coaching spanning over 25 years. Joyce has worked with hundreds of leaders to improve performance and develop them into excellent leaders. She has a proven track record of transforming managers into extraordinary leaders. She conducts surveys, administers 360-degree feedback tools using self-assessment, peer assessments, and team assessments. She provides them coaching and insight into individual leader and team dynamics. She served as a professional advisor for the School of New Learning at DePaul University. She served as president for the Association for Talent Development in Chicago, and she served on the National Board of Leadership Development for ADT. She is also a certified professional coach, and I can't wait for you to meet Joyce.
You're listening to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where you learn to step into your power and live your purpose. Now back to the show with your host, Christy Ruffino.
Well, welcome to today's episode of the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast. I have a great guest. I can't wait for you to meet her. I connected with her a couple years ago and started working with her a little over a year ago. She shared her amazing story in our last Overcoming Mediocrity featuring Unstoppable Women. She has not only a great story, but she has a great history in her career. And she is now paying it forward by really being on a great mission to help up and coming leaders. So welcome, Joyce. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Christy. I am so delighted to be here with you to share my story on this podcast. I'm looking forward to sharing how we can help other up and coming leaders really achieve their goals.
Yes, absolutely. So let's dive in right away to your story, because you actually got into your story really deep when you wrote your chapter. But there was a particular journey that you went on that you were able to get through, like a challenge that you faced, actually a couple of challenges, and all of that kind of set you on the path to be pursuing what you're doing now. And I know you took a few risks to kind of switch gears in your life and in your business. And so share a little bit about your story and how did you get here?
Well, my story started when I was 12 years old. I was really, really determined. I've always been that goal-oriented person. And when I was 12 years old, our family just fractured apart. My little brother died and everybody went crazy. And my grandparents were huge influencers in my life. My grandfather was the one that would share all kinds of wisdom with us when we were gardening. And he taught me some lifelong principles, like where there's a will, there's a way, or the tough get going. And so I put those are my first goal affirmations. And so I put them on big posters and plastered them in my bedroom. And I would constantly repeat them to myself over and over and over. And I decided at that point in my life that I wanted to be a successful businesswoman by the time I hit 30. Now, what kind of 12-year-old does that? But that was the dream that was instilled in my heart. And so I got involved in lots of activities in high school and became president of student council. And I had this dream of going to college, but our family was really not very well off financially. And my parents are like, oh, you can't do that. What makes you think you can do that? And so I was just really determined, and I'm like, I'm going to achieve my dream. So I went to the community college, and then I applied for the University of Illinois and went there. And I'd been married at the time, and things didn't work out the way we wanted. So we came back to Chicago. And unfortunately, through various and challenging times, my first husband died in a work accident. And I decided, okay, I needed to do something else. And I was blessed to be introduced to a business that I worked out of my home, which allowed me to take care of my daughter. And through that, I met some wonderful people, and they really imposed upon me the critical points of writing your goals down, visualizing your dreams, and I had such an amazing support system. And after another year, I married my second husband and was with him through this whole journey. Matter of fact, fast forward many years, we've been married together, and we had an idyllic second chance, and we had another child, and we had a wonderful marriage. And then we were in a weekend getaway to do skiing, and he had this life-threatening accident. And at that point in my life, that was the turning point in my life. And I realized, oh my gosh, life as I know it is going to be changed forever. And so I was forced into corporate America. I had to get a regular job because he was our sole breadwinner. And I'm like, okay, and prayed feverishly for a miracle. And one appeared. A friend of mine was the CFO of a company. And he says, Joyce, I know you're a strong leader, and I know that you accomplish goals. Would you be interested? Not sure if you are, but I've got a position. And I was like, thank you, God. My prayers were answered. And that was my path of going on to corporate America. And I still had a burning desire to complete my degree. I had achieved an associate degree, but I wanted to go on to bigger and better things. And I was blessed to be able, after a couple of years managing an accounting department, to go into the training department, which absolutely loved. It was one of those things that, when you just put on that comfortable suit that it fits, and that's who you need to be. And I was thrilled to be pieces, because in my first business, I had worked on leadership seminars and I was used to training others. And so it was very easy for me to slide into this arena. And I was blessed by a woman who was the head of the learning and development organization in that company. And she's like, Joyce, you need to get a degree. I don't care what it is, just go get a degree. And it was like, oh my gosh, carte blanche. And so I was able to get my dream education through DePaul University, which is where I had wanted to go when I was in high school, when I was told by my mother I couldn't do it. And, that was one of the first dreams that I had visualized that now I had achieved. And so I achieved that dream. I completed the degree in 2 years while I was working full time. And it set me on a journey of lifelong learning. And I absolutely loved working and helping others achieve their dreams, becoming strong leaders to really polish up and refine their leadership skills. And so I went from that organization to another one. And you always know when you've outlived an organization, when you've outgrown their dreams. And so I was on a path to continue to grow. And when I went to the third company, I became director of training, and then went on to get my master's degree. And it was just absolutely so exciting to grow another training development department, and then moved on to another Fortune 500 company. And through all of this time, continually focusing on those goals and really focusing on being positive and bringing the best out of people. And so the company that I had really grown exponentially was at Newell Rubbermaid, and we just had some phenomenal people. Matter of fact, today I'm still in contact with them, and really worked hard at growing the business. And one of the things that I realized is, you reflect on your own leadership skills, and you become stronger as an individual when you look at how can I help others. And so I dreamed about what I could do, I imagined it, and I focused on those goals and achieved all kinds of certifications to help people grow. And you can't help but grow yourself when you're helping others grow. And so it really helped me to look at how I can focus on building others. And so I'm delighted to say that the people that I coached when I was at Newell have all moved on to other organizations, and they have grown and they've become leaders in their own right in terms of becoming vice presidents of marketing and CEOs of several different companies, and really growing. And to this day, now I am still in contact with them. And when I have reached out to them to work on my second book, they have happily said, oh, we're happy to work with you and be interviewed so that you can find out what real secret successful leaders do. And so those are some of the things that I have done, in addition to moving on and building my own consulting business.
Wow, what a journey. So you can kind of credit some of this success all the way back to your grandfather, about the life principles he instilled in you. And that set a really great foundation for you going forward.
It truly is. And it shows the importance of, the influencers in your life, and, paying attention to people. You can overcome and accomplish anything you want if you want it badly enough, if you feel it with emotion and focus on that positive thing. And of course, as I've alluded throughout our conversation this morning, I have a very strong faith, and I really believe that nothing happens by accident, and that I have been guided and I have listened to those inspirational thoughts that have been shared with me through my faith and through the Lord blessing me. But it's one of those things that you can choose to be bitter or you can choose to get better. And so I always looked at what could I do differently to get better, because there's a whole lot of people that are at the wayside that, thought, oh my gosh, I can't do this. And you really have to focus on what you can do. Because I can tell you, when my husband was in the hospital, overcoming that horrible accident, they insisted that they wanted to take his leg, amputate it. And I said, no, that's not acceptable. And the doctor looked at me like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, we have to find a better way. And so I searched until I found a physician and a surgeon who was willing to work with us. And so it was through that determination. And when you have tough times in your life, you need to meet those goals with that kind of strong determination. And I'm happy to say that Dennis is still around, and he is walking around, and he still loves to go skiing. I can't do that anymore, but he really, I tease that he loves to walk around with his hair on fire. He's an adrenaline junkie. And so that kind of passion, it's that kind of passion that really helps keep you going. And so, your goals change throughout your life. And so sometimes you need to reset your mindset. And that's one of the things that I have believed has always help me achieve those goals, because there's going to be stumbling blocks along the way. We all have them. And it's how you choose to meet those goals that helps you overcome the challenges and achieve those goals.
Absolutely. So yes, we all have challenges that we face in our life, and some are bigger than others. And you definitely had your share of challenges. And when you were faced with the situation with your husband, where, you had to make a decision, not only for his well-being, but then your life, your family going forward, you had to step it up a little bit, and you had to take all of those skills and all of these the practices you learned on goal setting and accomplishing and making sure that your mindset is correct. And so if you don't mind, hang on just a moment. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And I know you have some really great mindset and goal setting tips that you want to share with our audience. And I definitely want you to spend a moment in talking about your book, because that is a fascinating project. And I want to make sure that we touch base on that. So do you mind hanging on, Joyce?
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, hold on a moment. Today's episode is brought to you by the Overcoming Mediocrity Project. Are you ready to share your story in a life-changing book with other success-driven women? Then what if you could use that book to get speaking gigs, podcast interviews, and possibly a new client or two? Wouldn't that be great? Well, watch out, chicken soup. Here comes Overcoming Mediocrity. Our proven system can transform your struggle story into a powerful signature message and then as one chapter in an Amazon best-selling book. Our process is simple and economical, and it will bring a lot of eyeballs on you, your business, and your big message to the world. We welcome you to apply to join our project. Just visit us at overcomingmediocrity.org and click on the apply button at the top of the page. We'll see you soon. Well, welcome back, everybody. I am glad that you stayed with us. I know Joyce shared some great things about her journey to where she is now. And before we get into some of the great teaching points that you want to share, let's talk about your book and what inspired you to put that together.
Well, I'm actually one of the people that I met at the group that you and I met, Engaging Speakers. She and I chatted, and she says, well, what is it that you really want to do? Because as I said, as you go through life, you go through different stages and different journeys. And I knew that it was time for me to give back and to do something different. I had a wonderful, wonderful career in various Fortune 500 companies in corporate America, but I really wanted to give back. And I've had this burning desire to write a book. And while I loved being a co-author in Unstoppable Women, I'm like, you know what, this is the launching pad. And so this one that I am working on now, it's Unstoppable Leaders. And I'm trying to decide the title, Leadership Principles for Success or Leading with a Heart. But the key factors, there's 6 keys that I really felt were very, very important for me to stress on. One of them was talking about trust, the power of respect, creating commitment. And then as a leader, you need to really cultivate peak performers. And you really, and doing that, that's how you develop dynamic teams. And then one of the key points that continually kept popping up in these conversations was authenticity in everyday leaders. So those are the 6 high points that I'm going to be focused on. Those will be the 6 chapters. And I'm really excited because I'm seeing trends and common threads. And so these are this isn't going to be this fancy big model and we've got plenty of those already. People can find those in the bookshelves, but mine is going to be really speaking from the heart in terms of what are lessons learned that these leaders have discovered and why are they successful? How have they continued to be successful? And they're really wonderful, loving, passionate people that still get a lot of results from the kind of leadership skills that they have.
Great. So when is that scheduled to be released? And I'm asking you this on purpose because I know you've been working on this for a while and I want you to set your date of when you're going to get this done.
You're absolutely right. And, that's what I love about you, holding me accountable. So I am looking at finishing up. I've got 4 more interviews because I want to have a pretty equal balance of men and women. And so once I finish up those 4 interviews, then I'm going to finalize things. So my goal is to target getting things wrapped up and ideally have the book launched 3rd quarter. So like this summer, I really want to have it done then.
Great. 4 more interviews. That's good. And you've done a lot already. So 4 more, you're like the end. This is great. Yay. Okay. So let's dive into principles. I know you learned some great principles from your grandfather, and then now you've got great principles that I'm sure you're going to be sharing with your future generations, but more importantly to emerging leaders. So what do you want to focus on now with the remaining, 10 minutes or so we have? Because I know you've got so many great nuggets of wisdom to share, but how do you want to proceed with this?
Well, when I was talking with my co-authors, one of the things that they questioned me is like, how on earth did you achieve all those goals throughout your life? When you read my chapter, you're like, wow. And I didn't sleep a whole lot. That's one of the things. But I surrounded myself with positive people. I read books about successful people, and I focused on my goals. I don't think I watched any TV for about 10 years because I just really had that tunnel vision that I wanted to achieve those goals. And so as I was reflecting on this, I thought about Dennis Waitley's book, The Psychology of Winning. And he talked about winners focus on winning, and that you have winning habits and a positive mindset. So that's what I've really focused on. And especially now during this pandemic, that's one of the things we really need to focus on, that positive mindset. And it's real easy to get kind of discouraged, and especially if you're not with people. I don't know about you, Christy, but I'm an extrovert, and so I'm really struggling not being able to interact with people, everyday people, and that's where I get my energy. And so, guarding your mindset's really huge.
All right. So mindset, keeping a positive mindset, surrounding yourself with positive people. Yeah, that is absolutely the key. I have a great story about the chicken and the eagle, where the eagle mama dropped one of her little chickies out, and that baby eagle grew up with a bunch of chickens, and he grew up his whole life thinking he was a chicken because he was around chickens, yet he was looking at the other eagles soaring in the air, and he longed to do that. And so when we surround ourselves with positive people, or people that are doing things bigger than us and better than us, even though it may be uncomfortable and we feel like we're the little chicken in the big, the big sky. But it is what pushes us to grow and keep moving forward, and just kind of gets us out of our comfort zone to expand.
It truly is. In The Magic of Thinking Big, David Schwartz talks about how to make attitude your allies, and really believing that you can succeed, and how to use your goals to grow. And that's really focusing on what you can do. A lot of times you get discouraged. Oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. And we really need to stretch ourselves. One of my favorite stories is from The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. And he's got a story about a young man who has a dream of being a great salesman. And so he asks his master to teach him, what are some of the secrets? And the master says, well, first, you must prove that you can endure the life of a salesman. And so the master sends him off, and he says, okay, failure will never overtake you if your determination to succeed is strong enough. And I would think about that. In my early career, before I got into corporate America, I did a lot of sales. And I would say that over and over and over again, because sometimes rejection can be really, really frightening. But you really have to focus on what is your determination, what is your end goal. Well, the story goes on that the young man tries to make a sale, and he fails, and he goes back, and he's really feeling defeated. And the master presents him with the scrolls, the 10 vows of success. And he tells the master tells him, read the scrolls every day when you first get up in the morning, and then before you go to bed at night. And reading the scrolls transformed his thinking. And eventually he did become the greatest salesman in the world. And it's such an amazing book. And, I really encourage your listeners to check it out. It's a fun, easy read. But, these are the kinds of authors that I would read, because it would help me stay positive and keep my mind straightforward on the goals. And it's that habit of reaching for the kinds of things that are going to make you successful.
Absolutely. Affirmations are so important, because our mind doesn't necessarily, it's not always able to distinguish what's real and what's not. And so if we keep telling ourselves, and enforcing on our brain, and creating these affirmations about what we want to accomplish, and then like that tablet, or in that book where he read it every morning, we can program our mind to accomplish just about anything.
I have to tell you, that's one of the ways in which I achieved the first book. So I have a list of affirmations, and I tape recorded myself saying those affirmations out loud. And I would listen to them every day on the way to work. I would take the train downtown with one of my consulting jobs. And I promise you that I know that for sure is what helped me. And the universe does what it's going to do. When you put that out there, you attract. Many people are familiar with the law of attraction and how you manifest your dreams. And that's how I manifested that dream. I kept saying it over and over. And I have my book that I've published. And when you and I got together, my uncertainty was not being acknowledged, because I had that so strongly, that my fear was overcome by my desire for success. And, we had plenty of conversations, and you're like, but Joyce, you can do this. And so I went ahead and I did it. And, now I have one book that I can attribute to my collection.
And the other on its way.
It is. Well, I love what Dr. Schuler says. He says, you can become the person that you want to be, that if you can dream it, you can do it. And so, I think of other things. Our refrigerator was our vision board. So we would put a picture of things that we wanted. And I had a picture of a car that we wanted, and I had a picture of our dream house, because we originally started out in Chicago and we had a lovely brick bungalow, but I really, really wanted this other kind of house. And that after a while, you don't see those things. But I had that picture and I wouldn't remove it until we got what we wanted to. And we looked for 2 years and we gave up. And then one day we were coming back from visiting a friend out in the suburbs, and the way that the universe works, the traffic backed up on one street. So we had to make a turn, and we turned down a street that went right past the house that we now live in. And we saw a for sale sign, and my husband looked at me and I looked at him and I said, you think we should go take a look? And he's like, yeah. He said, it's the first open house that they're having. And we walked in and immediately we knew this was our house. It was exactly what we wanted it to be. It had all the different kinds of the beautiful oak floors and the fireplace and all the other amenities that we thought about. And we sold the house we lived in 3 weeks and moved in 7 weeks later. And so the power of those dreams and the vision boards and focusing on what you want and the right attitude, it really makes a difference, because your attitude is a choice.
Yeah, that is so true. So quite often, and this is one of the things that, working with women like you and myself with my story, and just having so many conversations with women about their stories. And many of us were forced to make a change. And we didn't have a choice. The world created a situation and we had no choice but to make a change. But what I love is when we can learn how to create those changes without being forced, and to be able to take ownership and get back to dreaming big, because we stopped dreaming. As kids, we dream anything. There's no when we're a kid, other than from our mom telling us, not to eat too much sugar. But we have big dreams on what we can accomplish. But then that all kind of gets squashed as we grow up. And I love when I work with women like you who get back to dreaming big and believing big, and then going out and making it happen, taking the action, not waiting, someday, one day I'll get to that, but now putting that stake in the ground and going out and making it happen. Dream boards are great. Vision boards are great, or vision boards, boards, and then affirmations. So do you have any other one last tip that you want to share with the audience, Joyce, today on how they can accomplish their dreams, their big goals?
I want to impose upon people the fact that making gratitude a habit is so critical. It's one of the simplest ways to raise your positive vibrations. And I have to tell you, in that nightmare of growing up, because I grew up in a dysfunctional family where my dad was an alcoholic, my grandfather said, always count your blessings. And so that was what got me through all of the challenges. When we recognize and appreciate our blessings, it automatically puts us into a feel-good, energetic vibration, and positive things are attracted to you. So get a gratitude journal, use the apps that they have, but always be grateful for what you have, no matter how small it is. And I promise you, you're going to attract more positive things and attract your dreams to you.
Love that. Awesome. Well, Joyce, this was a pleasure connecting with you today, or reconnecting with you and having this great conversation. How can our listeners get a hold of you? Because I know you've got some great resources to share, and maybe they want to stay on your email list for when your book comes out, because I know that is going to be a great, great read.
Thank you. Well, I am thrilled because my business partner and I have developed a program to coach and grow leaders to the next steps in their careers. And we're using a platform that uses the action-based learning concepts. And the 8FT model is action, feedback, and triggers. So for those that want to learn more on how to transform their leadership skills, you can reach me by sending an email to joyce@ctg.us.com. So if you can dream it, imagine it, and wish it, you can make it happen.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Well, thanks again, Joyce. And I look forward to getting that book. And I look forward to seeing you that email or that text from you saying that I'm finished, because it's going to be a really great day to celebrate. And not only for you, but for all of the people that shared their stories to help others, and then emerging leaders or just leaders in general that want to be able to gain that wisdom from people that have already had success in their leadership journey.
Thanks so much, Christy. This has been a pleasure and a delight.
Yeah, it's been fun. So, all right, Joyce, thanks everybody for listening, and we will see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where we believe that everyone can have the business and life of their dreams once they've learned the art of mastering their story. Mastering our stories is the key to everything we want in life. Our stories can either hold us back or they can propel us to new heights. We can choose. You can choose. Choose to overcome mediocrity with us. Let's achieve greatness together. To learn more, visit www.overcomingmediocrity.org. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast.